Welcome everyone to another episode of Agency Life. And today we have, all the way from Colombia visiting, we have Laura from TDC Digital Agency. Welcome, Laura.
Thank you so much, Claude. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm so excited to talk because we did have a chance to talk earlier, and it's just so amazing what you do. And honestly, all the help that you give agencies, just like the one that I have started.
Oh, super. Thanks so much. I'm going to read a little bit about your bio here because I just loved what, when you sent it through. So you focus on building brands through digital marketing. After graduating and working a couple of years in the corporate world, you quickly jumped into pursuing your side hustle as a full-time thing with no plan set in stone. Taking it day by day, Laura has grown alongside TDC, marking 2 years working with brands like Benihana
Yeah.
Benihana to local spas in the South Florida area. And the interesting thing about Laura is she is bilingual. So she does content in Spanish and also in English. So delighted to have you on the show. Tell us more. I've given you a slight little snippet about the background of your agency, but tell us more about that side hustle and why did you even want to have a side hustle?
So it basically wasn't like a planned side hustle, like let me do something on the side, but I love eating. And what we would do is we started a food blog and we would go out to different restaurants and we would take pictures. And my partner, my co-founder, he loves editing videos and he loves that creative side of it. So when we would go eat, we would snap the pictures and we would start creating these videos for these restaurants that obviously help promote them and bring business to them. So as we did it more and more restaurants started inviting us and they started wanting more videos and more videos. And that's when we noticed there's a business here. There's definitely people that need it, and that's something that we love to do and we know how to do. So we started doing that more and more, and then it just kind of flowed naturally where restaurants also had questions about social media. And we love social media. We both learn on the side through YouTube or through podcasts. So it's just something that flowed very naturally. And then from restaurants, it went to spas, to other companies, to engineering, to aviation companies. So it just went really expanding. And then when we were dedicating so much time to it and we also had a job, we realized that there was no way to handle both. And it's just kind of like a point where you reach where you have to make a decision. Obviously, we weren't making the same as in our set careers, but we definitely needed to take that leap to have enough time to be able to grow the agency and to really concentrate and dedicate like our full 40 hours to something to see if it was going to grow, where it was going to go. So that was about 2 years ago, and now we're here. We're both doing it full time, and it's really, really been a pleasure to grow alongside the companies that we're working with. We've seen the changes that they're bringing through digital marketing, which is just such a pleasure to work with.
Yeah, it's really exciting when you actually work with someone and you can see them grow and you can hear about their revenue growing and their profits growing, or they're expanding offices and they're expanding people. I don't think a lot of agency owners realize that that's what they're going to get into. They're not going to be doing just beautiful websites and just fabulous campaigns. They're actually going to be building relationships with people. It's such a deep satisfaction when you help them out. And
exactly.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it? So it doesn't sound, go.
When you can work with the team and you can see the difference in the team and how the team, maybe at the beginning, they weren't so sure about digital marketing because obviously this is just the beginning of it. Right. And then they're seeing the changes that come in, the changes in business, people coming through them, even through Instagram, through Facebook, just through little things. And they see the impact that it has on their business. That's the biggest satisfaction.
Sweet. Yeah, I can see that in your face. If you're listening to this, head on over to YouTube and you can see the gorgeous Laura. She's lighting up as she's talking about this, which is fabulous. And so it doesn't sound like you go after a particular niche. It sounds like you've got quite a variety. Is the niche South Florida, or is there a certain type of service offering that you do, or is there a type of company? I often talk to agencies about, sometimes it's not an industry, it's a personality.
Exactly. Yeah. So definitely, since we are so early on, we didn't want to pick an industry because we haven't tried everything. It's like saying your favorite dish is a pasta when you haven't tried every other food in the world.
Right.
So that's basically what we're doing now. So our goal is to offer what we have specialized in, which is the branding, the social media, and the paid media aspect of it, along with content creation, because we believe that it all ties in together. You can't have all of those if you don't have good content.
Mhm.
So that's basically what we've been working on. All the packages that we offer do focus on that content creation first. That's like the base that we go off of.
Nice. And how's the team structured? How big is the agency? How many full-time, part-time? What's the structure look like?
So we're definitely on the smaller side of it. We have brought on some people to the team more as like contractors and part-time.
Hmm.
So when we go on to a content creation, so that's on site to the client, or if they send us their product, there's going to be us two, the co-founder and me. And then we have maybe one other person helping out. And then when we do the whole editing and stuff, that's when we have our contractor who's an editor. So we basically kind of divided it into strategic and creative.
Got
So
it.
that's the creative part of it. And then I'm basically part of the strategic was putting all the campaigns together, the thinking, the branding, and the client relationship. That's what we focus on.
Beautiful. And that leap you made from a full-time job over to running your own business into the entrepreneurial world, what are some of the things that you found surprising, and what are, in a good way and maybe not such a positive way?
So in a good way is that it's super different. So first of all, when you're unemployed, you have a different mindset. You're thinking about different things. But when you jump over, it's really that you rely on yourself. And
Hmm.
that's things that I would have never thought about, like mindset, meditation, what I'm listening to. And that's stuff that I'm super concentrated on now. I watch where my time goes. I watch what I'm doing on the weekends, because it's really, I run my business, so I have to be good. But as an employee, I'm there from 9 to 6, I'm out, and that's it. I'm never thinking about what I'm doing. So it's a completely different mindset, but I really think that it's so beautiful because it helps you grow as an individual. So even though your brand is growing, you're also growing, you're expanding. The growth that I've felt personally over these 2 years, it's been tremendous.
Hmm.
Nothing like it. It doesn't compare to anything, not even to like the college experience that you have. So that's
Yeah.
really something that, even as like starting something on the side, not like as a huge business, I would recommend to everybody.
Yeah, I think you do look at yourself very differently. It's a big
Yeah.
difference I've noticed over the last, say, 4 or 5 years of working with agencies, both inside in HubSpot and outside with Grow It, has been the transformation of the agency owner. Maybe in the beginning, they kind of would, maybe not take care of their health or not really go to the gym, maybe go the odd time, or they might be fond of big meals and fond of the drinks and things like that. And I think somebody realizes over time that as an entrepreneur, you are your business, and
Yeah.
what you put into your body, what you do with your mind, the amount of alcohol you can do that as an employee if you have a check-in job. We all know that you can go in on a Monday morning, be a bit dusty, kind of come around on Tuesday, do a great 3 days work, go out on Thursday night. If it's if you can, there's a many jobs that you can kind of just clock in, coast along, and clock out again.
Yeah,
um,
basically.
right. Even just saying those jobs, I'm starting to twitch. But as an entrepreneur, you've got to be thinking all the time, what's the best thing for you to do at the weekend, so that you can turn up on a Monday when you have to face clients and you have to face your team. And instilling that in the agency, is a very important as well. I've worked with many agency owners who are like, yeah, the employees are kind of, a couple of the people on the team, they're sort of coming in and they're a bit slow on a Monday. And it's like, okay, well, let's work on that, like, let's talk to everyone about, it's a people business, and their energy and their ability to retain information, their ability to respond to things, their ability to be personable and interactions with their clients. That's the job, coming in half coasting with a little bit of a hangover, all week long, or, on too regular a basis. Of course, we're not angels, but it is a very important thing. And I've noticed that over and over again. I'm hearing people talk about mindfulness, meditation, and yoga, and instilling in themselves, taking breaks, going on holidays, reading books. And it isn't a waste of time. You
Yeah.
shouldn't be working instead. you should be doing these things so you can be even better with your team and with your partners and with your agency. So I love hearing that.
Exactly.
You talk about collaboration over competition when you sent me some information over about how you like to work. Give us some examples of collaboration. I'm a big fan of working together with people.
So this is super interesting because I think that not only society, but us as humans, we always have that kind of like that feeling inside that, is my neighbor doing better? Like if we're both doing the same thing, who's going to get the business? And over these past years, I've learned so much from that, because really when we started working and even gathering with the people that were doing the same exact thing as us, even locally, we would start gathering information, we would start learning from each other, and even sharing so much information and so many little secrets that just helped us so much. It not only helped the other person, but it also helped us to grow, to see what was working, what we could change. And so that's something that I am huge on, cool, that maybe I didn't realize in the past, but now that I really, really, truly believe in. So when we started doing the podcasting, we would invite creatives to come in, and we would have the speaker, we would be interviewing them, and then we would invite the other people that are agencies like us to listen along, to hear these tips and to really ask us any question about the business. So it's kind of like we are mentors to other people that are lower in the process. So they haven't been an agency for 2 years, but maybe they're just starting, they have 6 months in the business. So everything that we've learned along the way, because we obviously have learned some good things and we've learned some bad things, we love sharing with other people so that they can learn and they can also give us their advice, because that's really, I believe, how agencies grow, how companies grow, and how we grow.
Yeah, and I think maybe in the beginning, like let's say 10 years ago when there was social media agencies and marketing agencies and online marketing agencies or internet marketing agents, whatever they were calling themselves. And I talk about 10 years ago because I remember that time. Yeah, it was such a simple landscape. You know, there was only like 5 or 6 things you were going to do to help someone get into the online space. It was so simple. Today there's 7,000 tools revolving around digital sales.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you're kidding yourself if you're going to sit there and go, I'm a full service expert on all of those 7,000. No, unless you've employed 7,000 people in your digital marketing agency, good luck. So yeah, the collaboration piece, I think, is brilliant. And it's like, it creates that energy as well about giving and giving back. It creates that energy when, you know, if you were stuck, you've helped that person before. If they are stuck, they can come to you, because it's a lonely road sometimes running your own business. And energetically, clients can feel that, and prospects, they can see that you're a collaborative person and that you're not holding yourself, you know, away from people are going, oh, they're my competitors. You're not bad mouthing your competitors. I say competitors in the loose word, because really, even if you were to offer exactly the same services as the agency down the road, you and your partner and your team and your style and your energy are totally different from the other person. So there is no such thing as competition really in the space of digital marketing, because it's a people business, you know, and that client wants to work with the people that they talk to. So I think that's really, really forward thinking of you. And what's also forward thinking of you is the fact that you have your own podcast. Where were you in the world, and what notion came into your head when you woke up and went, let's do a podcast?
So we started this year with the podcast, and basically it's all coming from the point that this year, our goal is to build our personal brands. So we really believe, like you just mentioned, that the people that are working with us, it's because they're interested in the people behind the agency, which in this moment, it's me and my partner, the co-founder. So it's really us becoming the expert in the face of these businesses in the different topics that we work with. So in branding, in digital marketing, in social media, in paid media. So the way that we basically save time and we work with our content is having a podcast. So what we do with our podcast is we sit down with somebody, and from that, we take that content and we break it up into little pieces, which then we put out on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Instagram. And then from that, we work. So I'm trying to tie in basically what the topic is of the podcast with also the posts that I'm putting out, with also the articles that I'm starting to write out. So it's basically all connected, and it's a way that we centralize the content that we're putting out. So that's basically the idea of it. And we also truly, truly believe that audio is growing, voice is growing over the years. So that's another thing that we said, okay, this is a perfect moment for the brand to also jump on audio, to be found through different podcasting streams. So we said, this is the moment, let's go. Let's, go for it. And it's also been a wonderful experience because we've been able to sit down with people like you.
Yeah.
And there's so much to learn from other people. Yeah.
Yeah. It was great when you invited me on. Thank you so much. And we'll put a link to this because we did a few weeks ago. And, I'm going to be unreservedly promotional here right now. By the time you're listening to this, you will have seen that we have launched a podcast, myself and a business colleague of mine, Max Trailer, because of the belief in podcasts themselves. I truly believe, and so does Mac, that every agency and every medium to large size business, or even small business, if you just want to do it once a month or something, it can be time intensive. But as an agency, you should definitely have a podcast. You need to build yourself around the community. It's about networking with your peers. It's about networking with people that can help you. It's about asking your ideal clients to come on. It's about showing your expertise. And the audio is just one part of it. If you record in video like we're doing and like you do on your show, you now have video available for YouTube. And you've got evergreen topics, snippets, quotes, show notes, links, apart from the fact that it's like great crack, right? There has been one day I did 4 in one day, and that was a bit much, but as long as I'm doing a couple a day, like I really, really enjoy the conversation, and learning new things. Like you and I had a great conversation, connected you with one of the agencies I know in Chile, and I know you guys are going to get on great. Shared some advice over and back, and we learned about each other. I think it's a fantastic medium, and the audience that listens to podcasts are just incredible. Those are people who are in their car, they're not working. Generally, a podcast listener is actually not working on something else at the same time. They're doing the dishes, the housework, they're out running, they're on their bike, they're walking along, they're outside, they're in the car, they're commuting, or in the bus. So that is a totally different experience for them to spend time and listen to your message and connect with you.
Exactly. Yes, completely recommended to any industry. And the sooner you can get onto it, the better.
Yeah.
Because it's going to continue growing. A lot more people are going to jump onto it. But if you have a solid foundation, like you're going to show with the partnership that you're doing, then it's obviously something that is going to benefit any brand.
Yeah, exactly. And if you just if you want to just go over to the Facebook group that we have going on, we're sharing tips and advice and free information. I'm going to get Laura to come in there because she's getting questions asked all the time too. And we really encourage any business. I'd love to help anyone who wants to build their own podcast in any shape or form. I've been chatting about it now especially this year, I've noticed. Have you noticed that, Laura? Like this year alone, I've been getting a lot of people asking me about how this is going, and really good feedback. Yeah.
Crazy. And even the conversations that you have like outside of our agency and client bubble, the conversations outside are what podcasts are you listening to?
Right.
What podcasts do you recommend? Who have you talked to? So it's definitely something that's growing, and it's going to continue to grow.
Yeah, totally. I definitely agree. I look forward to Saturday mornings. I've got into a habit of doing housework, which I'm usually pretty allergic to doing, but I motivate myself by going and putting on my headphones and going, okay, I'm going to catch up on that podcast. I'm going to listen to a few things, and I'm going to get stuck into some housework. And I found myself definitely doing a lot less cursing than I used to before. If anyone had overheard me before, it was one of the things I used to really begrudge, but it's actually made my housekeeping better. So pretty cool. Now you've got some big plans over the next few years, and I want to hear how you're going to do this. You want to expand internationally. Where have you got your sights on, and how are you going to do it? What's the plan? What's the game plan?
So we are currently located in North America, in Florida, so around the Orlando area, and we move around South Florida to Orlando. But we do see that we have an advantage because our team is fully bilingual. So that's something that we want to jump into, obviously to South America and maybe to Europe. And something that we do notice when we meet with clients down there is that because of everything, they are a little slower in terms of digital marketing.
Yes.
So everything that we see here is a couple years behind there.
Wow.
So when we get, so it's amazing because really the brands that can take the opportunity, let's say, for example, if you're a restaurant and you start doing ads in South America, not a lot of people are doing ads. So even with a small little budget, you're already number one on SEO. You're already showing up on your targeted audience, cell phones, desktops, everything. So it's really something that we see that a lot of brands have the potential to use and to grow and to take advantage of, because really the knowledge that we can bring to them over there is going to be very, very powerful.
That's exciting. Does it feel sometimes like you feel like you've come from the future when you're in it?
Definitely, because imagine, so think of it as people that still don't understand social media. So even here now, it's hard to convince maybe clients that are more traditional to jump on the trend. So imagine going to another country where people aren't using their phones as much as we do. We use our phones to shop, to do everything. We're in a country where that still is very slow. So Amazon isn't the Amazon Prime that we're used to. Amazon still takes like a couple of weeks there. People are a little hesitant. They're like, what do you mean somebody's going to drop off my package?
Right.
So, yeah. So it's something that's slow. We're like, no, this is going to work. This is super, you're going to have a lot of experience with this. It's going to make your life a lot easier. So
yeah,
basically opening the doors to a new world.
Right. So how do you, this is going to be a bit of a trick question, but how do you then slow your transfer of knowledge from what you know to them? Because there must be an awful temptation then to start going absolutely book mad.
Oh yeah, definitely. So I think the key is to start slow and to kind of make it as digestible as possible. Because obviously, even when we sit with family members and friends and we just start kind of mentioning what we're doing, everybody's like, what? That's possible?
You do that?
Yeah, what do you mean there's e-commerce? What do you mean there's drop shipping? There's so many little things that they don't understand that you really have to start as slow as possible.
Right.
And really a perfect way to explain it is to compare it with the other side of the world that has already opened its doors to it.
Got it.
So it's very easy when you can say, look at what Nike's doing, look at what big brands are doing. Yeah. But I can just imagine what it was like earlier on when there was nothing to compare it to. So definitely the agencies that have been around for years, wow. Props to you.
Right. So and it's like I see this a lot as well. There's some agencies moving into emerging markets, and the temptation, or even you could be having a conversation with someone who doesn't know anything. The temptation for you to kind of just gush your knowledge or get super excited because we're so excited about the thing. Yeah. But what I've been finding recently is, even no matter where you go. I just came back from South Africa recently, and I was using tools that I have not used in other countries before. Like, I've been traveling pretty much internationally for about 22 years. So the first big international trip, and the concept of like everything I did over there, staying in a stranger's house, Airbnb, getting into a stranger's car, like if I went on my first trip and I sat down and I told my mother, so I'm going to stay in this stranger's house, I don't know who they are. I'm going to get in a stranger's car, I don't know who they are. I'm going to order food on my phone, and I don't know how it's going to get there. I would not have been allowed to get on a plane.
Oh, definitely.
Right? So there's lots of little things that we're all using personally, even way beyond the big things that are happening in technology. And there's way more exciting things to come. So it must be super. I can only imagine you're sitting there in meetings and probably holding yourself because you want to tell them 400 things and you're going,
Oh yeah.
I'll tell them 4 and let's see if we can get out of here.
Yeah. You want to start as simple as possible.
Yeah.
Like literally talking to a toddler, telling them
Yes.
how to walk, because obviously if you already start with, okay, run a marathon, they're going to be like, what? What's all this?
Yeah. So if the phone rang in the morning, you got an email after you hang up from this call, and somebody had said, oh, I've just been listening to your podcast, or I've just been on your website, and they were like an ideal client, what would be the type of things that they would say to you? What would be like something that you'd be really excited to work on?
So right now we're very, very excited, and we're really concentrating on working with brands that are not only helping them, obviously growing their revenue and growing their brand, but that they have a bigger purpose. So they're helping the community, they're giving back somehow, or it's something maybe that's going to help out for the future. So something ecological, something with solar panels. That's something that we're very, very excited to hopefully work with soon. So
Awesome.
That's definitely, something that we're looking for, even a nonprofit.
Yeah.
So someone that's really giving back, because obviously we've seen the potential that brands have with digital marketing. So it's just even more exciting to use that power to somebody that's making an impact in the world.
Doing something for good. Imagine that's a double whammy. You're helping some business grow, and they're having an impact on the wider community and the wider world. I hear you. I can only imagine. Okay, so if anyone's listening and you've got a business and you have got making an impact, and you're looking for growth, and you're looking for bilingual, Spanish and English, Spanish and North America, no, definitely English. So look, you'll know how to get in touch with Laura. So one of the things, Laura, all about the success. Congratulations, you're 2 years, you've got your podcast, you've got your business, you're traveling internationally, you're growing internationally. You know, in the world, you are successful. It looks like you've had some food today. You've got a roof over your head. You know, like success is all relative. People ask me that all the time. I'm like, yeah, a roof over my head. I had some food today. We're still going. The internet's still going. We're going. But some of the things we really like to talk about on the show, and so that because it can be so lonely for agency owners out there, they might have made 10 mistakes today and they're asking themselves, what am I doing this for? So I want to share some of the mistakes. It's not all about the highs, but can you share a mistake or two that you wish you could help prevent another agency do, because that's what we like to share on this show.
100%. I think I could share over 1,000.
Awesome.
So first of all, we do mention this a lot, but I think this is super pivoting in your agency. Track your time. This is so important. And we say it 1,000 times to anybody that we meet, anybody that's starting a business, not even an agency. Track your time, because that's really what you use to base your pricing off of, what you use to see if you need to hire somebody else, what you use to see where you have to change things, where you have to really edit the way that you're doing things. So that's number one. And then the second thing that I would recommend, which is maybe not so common, is to filter your clients and really decide who you truly want to work with. So we were starting a company, and obviously when we tell our friends and our family, everybody has in mind that you always have to say yes to the client. So the client is always right. The client's always the client's way. And it's really hard to do marketing when you're only following the client's way, because obviously from the other perspective, you come into a business, they open their doors for you, and you see many things that you can start to change that go hand in hand with the marketing. Right. So sales go hand in hand with the marketing. We don't concentrate on sales, but obviously if we're coming into your business and we can see things that obviously need change in order for your marketing to work, then we need clients that are open to change, that are open to feedback, and that obviously are open to a company coming in and giving you advice, because we're here to partner with your brand to help you grow.
Right.
So that's something that we learned, obviously, It took time. It took
Okay.
time. Saying no to a client is hard for sure. Us letting go a client is even harder. You say, what do you mean? Our goal is to find clients, and now we have a client and we're going to let them go. But it's definitely something that I think has to be talked about.
Yeah. How did you handle that? Even if wasn't the best way, like how did you handle and how did you frame that you realized we've got to let this client go?
Yeah, so definitely it took some time. We had a couple meetings where we would sit down with the client, we would really show them, we would come into their business and we would tell them, look, this is the way to do it. This and this is going to help out. But if the client is never open to trying it, then it becomes really, really hard. So it went over a long term of meetings, a lot of communication, but it's also hard when maybe the client isn't open to communication. So it's definitely a process over time, but so something super recommended is be open about it, talk to them, let them know, and provide different methods of communication. So maybe if you're thinking about letting a client go, call them, send them an email, say, if this and this doesn't change, then in 30 days, we're going to have to cancel the contract because obviously it's not working. You're not seeing the results that you need to be seeing because this and this aren't going together.
That is great advice, to just don't spring it on them. Give them a bit of runway and go,
Oh yeah.
yeah, that's a great idea. Because then it doesn't get so defensive, give some indications, set that up in the beginning, going, sometimes we're entering a contract here together. Sometimes things work out great, sometimes don't, sometimes surprises come, good or bad. And there's a review period. And that can be really good if you have regular weekly check-in updates, quick updates, and a monthly sit down conversation review about what went well, what didn't go well, what are we going to do more of, what are we going to do less of. I like that. Yeah, I like that run up.
That, for example, obviously there's times when it's two people, so the client, you're talking to somebody, so it's not like, oh, I got mad at the client, I'm going to let them go. No. Definitely not what I'm saying. So it has to be something over time, and we do put in all of our contracts that you have at least 30 days from both parties that they have to give a notice.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something super, super important. And we did really concentrate on speaking to them, communicating the problem that we were seeing for them to understand. So it does take time. It's not from one day to the other because obviously you're helping a brand. And if you just cut out whatever it is, a website, social media, whatever service you're providing, you have to understand the impact that it's going to have on a brand.
Beautiful. That's so good. Love that advice. Thank you for sharing that with us. It's very helpful. You mentioned mindfulness, meditation, taking a break, and understanding how to balance your, your energy. What is another personal habit that you do on a daily basis that helps you stay so focused on the business?
So for sure, exercise. That's something that in the past I would push off, or I wouldn't take as like pivotal as I do right now. So right now, every morning I have my routine, which before I was like, routines? No, I don't like routines. I like know what I'm going to do. I'm not into planning. And now planning, routines, exercise every morning, that's really what gets me going. It's a break where I can really focus on just myself, feeling good, being present, and then that's when I get to work. So I make sure that my exercise is in the morning, at least 20 minutes. If I'm super full, if we have maybe a client on site, then I have to make sure that I wake up extra early and I at least get in 20 minutes.
Brilliant. What type of exercise do you like to do?
So I love cycling, spinning.
Cool.
That's my absolute favorite. And then obviously I've been getting into weights now. So
awesome.
That's something that's interesting. And it's also something cool to learn. And it's something like a new hobby.
Yeah, lift the weights, girl. All the weights. I love it. Yeah, it makes you feel so powerful. It's a really cool thing to do. I work with loads of husband and wife teams. I've been so lucky to meet loads of them over the years. They're couples who are in the business together. How do you balance your agency life with your personal relationship? How have you guys managed to do that? Or maybe you're not. Maybe there's some ups and downs. Maybe you're in the middle of a route. I don't know.
Yeah, so that's something that's maybe a little different from our agency, is that our agency, myself and the co-founder, are also partners outside of work. So he is my boyfriend, and we have been together for a while, and it really flowed naturally. So the side hustle, we were also doing that together, and it's been great. I think it's great because of our personalities. I don't think it's for everybody because obviously I think that working with somebody, even if it's not a partner, just, doing like a partnership with somebody, if it's not like your partner outside like a relationship, that's hard because two people have to get along. It's more communication, it's more work, but it's definitely something that has a lot of benefits if you can both benefit from each other and really be mature about the communication, understand when the other person is right and maybe you're not right, and admit to that, because that's really, really where it all comes from. So it's been wonderful. We focus a lot on communication. Awesome. That's the number one thing. And really listening to the other person's advice, because many times in an agency, we don't see outside. So we're so focused on this and this and this. And then when somebody else comes in and really widens our perspective, maybe we're reluctant to hear that. But when we do understand and see and understand the other person's point of view, it really does work for good, and it really has helped our agency grow.
Brilliant. Great advice there. And yes, keep focusing on the communication. We think and act differently as men and women, and that's okay. It's just understanding the differences that can make a huge difference. Now, you've just shared a tip there for agencies about don't be scared to say no to clients. And we talked in depth about that. What other kind of killer tip do you have for agencies out there in the 2 years that you've learned and the experience that you have gained?
My other tip would be don't be scared to change. So awesome. Maybe you come in to the game as this, and this is what I'm going to do. These are going to be my moving points. This is going to be my goal. But really, when you come in and you start working with agencies, when you start working with clients, you might notice something else that you have to offer that you maybe had no idea about. So I think that's super important. The faster you are open to change, the better that it's going to be, not only for agencies, but for every brand. I've heard so many success stories from different brands where they came in with a product and then they realized that it wasn't working, and then they developed something else, and now it's a complete boom.
Yeah.
So
I love that.
Yeah.
And that is very different from chasing shiny objects, by the way, anyone listening to this, because every agency owner I've worked with, I've been always constantly reprimanding them for stop chasing shiny new things. That is about when you came, the difference there is that you come up, maybe you've been asked by clients, can you do this? And you're like, no, we focus on this. But if you're repeatedly being asked and you're getting indications that there is time to change, it's about writing that idea down. If you do have an idea, it's not about spending weeks on end investigating it or doing it. It is about writing it down and looking for constant sort of signs and proof and feedback and indications from clients and from the marketplace and from the problem that it would solve, it constantly resonating with you over a period of a few months. And then you can sit down and go, okay, this is worth putting some time in. I'll give you a prime example of that, and that's the podcast course I'm doing right now. At the beginning of the year, I was like, no, this is what I do. I'm not putting time on it. And then after the 10th person booked a meeting with me to ask me about how to do a podcast, I went, okay, universe, I got the message.
Exactly. So that's something that at the beginning you had no idea about, but you have the solution to a problem that a lot of people are having. So it's definitely time to start implementing that. So that's super recommended. And you acted fast. So
yeah, well, if I think that's with anything, if you write it down on the side and you're fleshing it out, I believe a lot of these things kind of simmer in the back of your head, no matter what you're doing. When you sit down to put action into them, it becomes a lot quicker. So, so any agency, if you spot something, you see a gap, write it down, flesh it out, leave it, come back to it, look for, feedback, but let it come naturally. If you're coming up against the challenge over and over again, if you're hearing about the problem over and over again, if you see this as a solution, and then look down. Sometimes you've got to look down at what you have to give up. Maybe there's something you're doing in your private life or professionally, or there's a product on your suite of services as an agency. You can go, do you know what? let's cut that and let's build this. You know, that's what you've got to do, because you can't do it all. We can't have it all. Where would we put it?
Oh yeah.
One of my favorite lines. Well, Laura, it's been absolutely fabulous having you on the show. Thank you so much for sharing your energy, your advice, your inspiration, and your beautiful attitude with us here. I really, really enjoyed talking to you. How would somebody find you? What's the best way to get in touch with you?
So the best way would be on Instagram at the Laura Gomez. I'm always on there. If you have any questions, I'm always giving advice. If you have any questions about digital marketing, I would love to take a look at your website, see what you're doing, or on LinkedIn, Laura Gomez. You can also find me, and the agency at TDC Digital Agency on any platform.
Super. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. Take care, and we'll see you very soon.
Thank you.
No worries. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.